It starts with something small, a glass at breakfast, a bottle you keep in the fridge because it feels better than soda. You tell yourself it's fruit, it's natural, and maybe it even says no added sugar on the label, so you pour without hesitation. You're doing what they told you to do, choosing better, avoiding the obvious culprits. You've traded the processed for the pure, or at least that's what you believed. Because how could something that tastes so clean, so light, so familiar, be the thing quietly dragging your blood sugar higher day after day? The numbers confuse you. You haven't changed much. Maybe you've even improved. You're watching what you eat. You're not eating donuts. You're not snacking like you used to. But still, the monitor flashes a number that doesn't make sense. Your body feels off. Foggy in the morning, heavy in the afternoon. Your appetite feels louder than it used to. And there's a strange fatigue that comes and goes like a tide, pulling you down right after you think you're finally stable. But here's the part no one warned you about. There are traps disguised as progress. Habits that feel healthy but behave like sabotage once they hit your bloodstream. Especially after 60, when your body doesn't buffer things like it used to. Juice, real juice, organic juice, cold-pressed and all, can still wreck your balance when you strip the fruit from its fiber and drink the sugar in one quick gulp. You wouldn't eat 5 oranges in a row, but one glass, that's what it is. It's more than you think, faster than you feel, and quieter than you expect. You don't hear it coming, but your body does, your pancreas does, your insulin does. It begins right there in that first innocent sip. You've been trying. That much is clear. You skip the sweets. You say no to the white bread. You make trade-offs every day that younger people wouldn't even notice. And yet, it feels like your body isn't rewarding you for it. The rules changed, and no one told you. So you're left staring at the same routine, wondering why it's no longer working. You eat the way you were taught to eat. Low fat, lots of fruit, cut back on sugar, and somehow the fatigue still creeps in, the blood sugar still climbs, the weight around your middle won't move. It feels unfair, like doing all the right things but getting the wrong results. There's a kind of quiet discouragement that settles in after a while. You don't complain, not much. You just start to lower your expectations. Maybe this is just what getting older feels like, you think. Maybe this is the cost of time, but deep down something tells you it doesn't have to feel this way. That fog behind your eyes, the mid-morning crash, the strange hunger even after you've eaten. They're not signs of weakness, they're messages. And they're not telling you to try harder, they're telling you to look closer. Because it's not about eating less. It's not about willpower. It's about how your body responds now, how it processes what you feed it. That glass of juice you thought was helping. It's not just sweet, it's sudden. It pours into your bloodstream like a flood, not a stream. And without the fiber to slow it down, your insulin has to scramble to clean it up. That scramble is what leaves you shaky, sleepy, hungry again too soon. Not because you're broken, but because the truth was hidden in plain sight, inside a habit that wore the costume of health, long before the test result, long before the doctor speaks, long before the numbers show you what's happening. You already feel it, but the signs don't shout, they whisper. They arrive in ways that are easy to dismiss. You forget why you walked into the room. You reach for something sweet, not out of craving, but from an invisible drop in energy that feels like a sudden cloud falling over your brain. You wake up tired even after a full night's rest. You find yourself irritable before meals, then strangely sluggish after. None of it seems dramatic enough to call it a symptom, but it's there. Every day, a quiet shift in how you feel in your own skin. Your body has always been smarter than you give it credit for. It notices the smallest imbalance. It adjusts, compensates, sends signals. But we're trained to ignore those signals, especially if they don't come with pain. So you drink the juice, feel the sweetness, feel the lift, and only later, when your eyes are heavy, or your hands are trembling, or your mood turns gray, do you wonder what caused the dip. That's not coincidence. That's not just aging. That's your insulin working overtime to mop up a mess it didn't expect. And the hard truth is, what feels like comfort to your tongue can feel like chaos to your cells. A blood sugar spike isn't just a number. It's a metabolic event. It changes everything. Your energy, your memory, your sleep, even your blood vessels. And if it keeps happening day after day in small and silent ways, it chips away at the very balance you're trying to protect. The juice didn't feel like a mistake, but your body knew. It always knew. It's been talking to you in symptoms, waiting for you to finally listen. It's easy to believe the label. That smooth, crisp bottle says all the right things. 100% juice, no added sugar, all natural, heart healthy. The words are soft and reassuring, like a pat on the back for making the better choice. You reach for it in the grocery aisle with a quiet sense of pride. You're not buying soda. You're not giving in to candy. You're doing what they told you was wise. And yet, those words carry a halo. A kind of glow that makes us stop asking questions. Because once something wears the costume of health, we assume it can't hurt us. That's how the trap works. It's not just the sugar, it's the trust, the emotional safety these drinks create. For years, maybe decades, these labels have been speaking directly to your good intentions. They use words that echo what you've been told in doctors' offices and diet books. And when you hear fruit or vitamin C or supporting immunity, it lowers your guard. You stop wondering how much is too much. You stop noticing how often you're sipping. Because how could something marketed as healing be the very thing throwing your system off course? But the halo doesn't change the content. The body doesn't metabolize good intentions. It metabolizes ingredients. And no matter how pure or pressed or organic the juice claims to be, it still floods your bloodstream with sugar faster than fruit ever would. The fiber is gone, the volume is concentrated, and the response it triggers in your body is no different than if it came from a can of soda dressed in citrus disguise. You trusted the label. You meant well. But the words were designed to sell, not to protect. Now your body is asking you to look beyond the promises and see what's really inside the glass. It's the morning ritual you never questioned. A small glass of sunshine to start the day. Tangy, bright, familiar. It reminds you of childhood, of simpler times, of breakfast tables and good intentions. Orange juice feels like nourishment, like something your body should thank you for. But what it actually delivers is something your older body can no longer absorb without consequence. Not because it's evil, not because it's fake, but because it bypasses the very safeguards nature built into the fruit. A whole orange gives you fiber. It slows the sugar, balances the hit, and feeds your gut along the way. But a glass of juice, that's 4, sometimes 5 oranges, squeezed into a quick pour, stripped of fiber, rushing into your bloodstream faster than your insulin can keep up. Your pancreas jolts awake to handle the sugar wave, and if it can't clear it quickly, that glucose floats freely, damaging blood vessels, dulling your clarity, spiking your numbers without warning. And because the sugar in juice is liquid, it empties fast. You feel the crash not long after, a hunger that returns too soon. A fatigue that seems out of place for 9:30 in the morning. And it doesn't matter if it's organic, fresh squeezed, or not from concentrate. The biology is the same. Orange juice is a concentrated sugar source. What used to work in your 40s or 50s now leaves a sharper dent. Your insulin resistance is higher, your buffer zone is thinner, and even a half glass every day can shift your balance without your awareness. It doesn't feel indulgent, which is why it hides so well. But it's not a gentle start to your day, it's a metabolic shock. And if that glass has been your habit, it might also be your hidden obstacle. It's often the juice that feels safest, gentle, golden, mild enough for toddlers, common enough in hospitals. Apple juice carries an air of innocence. It doesn't feel rich or indulgent. It tastes light, clean, even refreshing. But inside that bottle is more than sweetness. It's a sugar surge hidden behind nostalgia and simplicity. One small glass contains the equivalent sugar of multiple apples, but none of their natural protection. No fiber, no chewing, no pause between sips, just liquid fructose and glucose slipping into your system faster than you can feel it. It often sneaks in around moments of care. You're under the weather, so you reach for it. You're fasting before a test, and it seems like a safe way to keep your energy up. You want something light with lunch, and it's sitting right there in the fridge. It doesn't set off alarms because it's so familiar, but your body reacts every time. Apple juice hits your bloodstream like a match to dry paper, quick, sharp, and without buffer. Your blood sugar climbs, your insulin rises, and if it happens regularly, your cells stop responding the way they used to. For seniors, that response becomes more fragile with time. The same drink you tolerated decades ago now leaves a different imprint, one that lingers longer, fluctuates more wildly, and compounds with every other habit around it. And because apple juice doesn't feel indulgent, it's often overlooked in food diaries, in conversations with doctors, even in your own self-reflection. But that gentle-looking drink may be playing a daily role in your frustration, tipping the balance just enough to keep you in a cycle of instability, not because you don't care, but because no one told you how much sugar hides behind that golden clarity. This one arrives dressed in prestige, deep purple, rich in antioxidants, praised for heart health in magazine headlines and wellness articles alike. Grape juice carries a certain authority. It feels medicinal, almost therapeutic, a drink with purpose. You drink it thinking of circulation, of vitality, of prevention. But what doesn't get mentioned as loudly is the payload of sugar it delivers with every swallow, often more than soda, cloaked in the color of wellness. It's a strange contradiction. A drink celebrated for its benefits can quietly sabotage the very systems it's meant to support. Yes, grapes contain resveratrol. Yes, there are antioxidants. But when the juice is extracted, filtered, bottled, and stripped of its skin and fiber, you're left with something far more potent than nature intended. A surge of sugar with little to slow it down. And unlike a handful of grapes, you don't stop at 5 or 10. 1 cup of grape juice can equate to dozens, concentrated into a quick sweet burst that overwhelms your metabolism. You may feel it afterward without knowing what caused it. The heavy eyelids, the craving for starch later in the day, the slight swelling in your joints. You chalk it up to age or maybe the weather. But for many seniors, grape juice is the silent agitator. Its sweetness hits fast, its spike lasts long. And when the insulin comes rushing to catch up, the crash it leaves behind pulls down your energy and clouds your clarity. The irony is painful. You drank it to help your heart, but it strained your system. You sipped it for strength, but it stirred up instability. Not because your choice was bad, but because the truth was incomplete. What you needed was the whole grape, the full context, not just the color and the claim on the label. It feels like medicine, tart, sharp, almost unpleasant on the tongue. That bitterness convinces you it must be doing something good. You don't drink it for taste. You drink it because somewhere along the way, you were told it helps, protects, especially when it comes to urinary health. Cranberry juice became a staple in many seniors' routines not because it's delicious, but because it carries that unspoken promise. This is preventative care in a glass. But what's rarely said is that most cranberry juice on the shelf isn't pure cranberry. It's a cocktail, a mixture of cranberry concentrate blended with other fruit juices or added sugars to make it palatable. Because real cranberry on its own is too sour for most to drink. So the industry sweetens it, softens it, dresses it up as something healing while silently loading your system with sugar, sometimes more sugar per ounce than soda. And still, it wears that health halo like armor. You drink it believing you're doing the right thing, maybe just a glass a day, maybe after dinner. It feels like a routine worth keeping. But for your pancreas, it's a spike, a hit of sugar it wasn't prepared for. And if it happens daily, or even a few times a week, the pattern builds. Blood sugar climbs, inflammation smolders, and the protection you hoped for slowly turns into strain on your metabolism, your kidneys, even your heart. None of this means you were wrong to care. It means the information was incomplete. The truth is, if you want the benefits of cranberry, it has to come without the sugar storm. The unsweetened versions exist, but they're harder to find, harder to drink, and harder to trust, because they don't come with the sweet lie that made you feel safe. But now your body is asking for truth, even if it tastes bitter. This one is trickier, because it wears the mask of wholesomeness. You see the word smoothie and think of blended fruit, maybe a splash of almond milk, something full of fiber and goodness. But the truth is, most bottled smoothies or even store-bought blends aren't what you imagine. They're not a whole banana, a handful of greens, and a spoonful of seeds. They're juice by another name, concentrated, filtered, designed for flavor, not balance. And when you sip them thinking you're feeding your body, what you're really doing is drenching it in a sweet rush that your older system can't absorb safely. Look closer and you'll see what's missing. No pulp, no chew, no delay. Many smoothies marketed as healthy are fruit-heavy, fiber-empty, protein-absent. They combine mango, pineapple, banana, and apple juice in one bottle. No fat, no resistance, no slowdown. That's not nourishment. That's a sugar sprint. And for someone already navigating insulin resistance or glucose sensitivity, that sprint creates a roller coaster your body never asked to ride. You may drink it after a walk, thinking you've earned it. You may grab it at the store when a meal feels too heavy. You may even feel energized for a moment. But within an hour, the symptoms whisper back: anxiety, hunger, low energy, mental fog. And you wonder why something so healthy keeps leaving you feeling worse. The trouble with smoothie blends is that they look like progress. They sound like clean eating, but they behave like soda once inside your bloodstream. And they're not evil, they're just misunderstood. Because what makes a real smoothie healing is balance: fiber, fat, protein, and slow digestion. What makes a bottled one dangerous is speed. Your body doesn't need faster, it needs steadier. Not the quick spike of blended fruit sugar, but the quiet strength of something that actually nourishes, not overwhelms. This is the part most people never told you, the part where the magic wasn't in the fruit, but in what surrounded it. The skin, the pulp, the slow chew. Fiber was never just rough edge. It was the gatekeeper, the brake pedal, the invisible shield that slowed sugar down, softened the blow, and gave your body time to respond. It didn't just move things through your gut, it managed how they entered your blood. And when you remove it, when you press the juice and leave the rest behind, you strip away the one thing that could have protected you from the very spike you're now fighting. Fiber changes everything. With it, fruit acts like nourishment. Without it, fruit turns to sugar. Not in theory, but in reality. The absorption rate skyrockets. The insulin has to race, and your blood sugar graph looks like a mountain peak instead of a gentle hill. It's not about demonizing fruit, it's about respecting the package it came in. Nature never intended you to drink an orange. It meant for you to peel it, chew it, feel it. That time, that resistance, that fiber, it all matters more than you've been told. And the sad irony is, so many seniors are fiber deficient without knowing it. Not just for digestion, but for blood sugar, for cholesterol, for satiety, for inflammation. Juice removes what your body was hoping for, and over time, without that fiber buffer, every sip becomes harder to process. Every spike lasts longer, every crash hits deeper. But this also means something hopeful. You can change the outcome just by adding back what was lost. A piece of fruit instead of a glass, a sprinkle of chia in your water, a handful of greens with your meal. Small shifts that rebuild the barrier, slow the surge, and return your body to something steadier. Fiber isn't an afterthought. It's the body's quiet protector. You don't always feel the spike, but you almost always feel the fall. That heavy-eyed drowsiness, that sudden irritability, that gnawing hunger when you know you just ate. These aren't random. They're the crash after the climb. When your blood sugar spikes too fast, your insulin surges in response, sweeping the sugar out of your blood and into your cells. But sometimes, especially as you age, that response overshoots. Your blood sugar drops too far, too fast. And now you're on the other side. Shaky, moody, craving more sugar just to level out again. It's not weakness. It's not a lack of willpower. It's biology in motion. A roller coaster of highs and lows, triggered not by desserts or candy, but by things you thought were good for you. A glass of juice, a fruit smoothie, a light breakfast that left you feeling oddly depleted by 10 o'clock. This isn't just inconvenient, it's exhausting. And when it happens daily, it becomes a rhythm your body starts to expect and then depend on. Because every crash invites another craving. Every craving invites another quick fix. And without knowing it, you begin to feed the cycle, not with intention, but with habit. Your energy swings, your focus fades, your emotions become harder to manage. And through it all, you blame yourself. You think you're doing something wrong when really your insulin is just trying to play catch-up in a game that keeps tilting against you. But once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it. Once you name the loop, you can step off the ride. You don't have to chase sugar just to feel normal. You don't have to spike just to stay awake. There's a way to create steadiness again, not with more control, but with more understanding. The roller coaster wasn't your fault, but it's within your power to stop the ride. There's a reason your body reacts differently now. A reason what once felt harmless now leaves a mark. After 60, everything slows down. Not just your pace, but your physiology. Your insulin sensitivity declines. Your muscles, which once soaked up sugar like a sponge, don't respond as quickly. Your pancreas, which worked without complaint for decades, begins to whisper instead of shout. And even small missteps in your choices echo louder in your system than they did 20 years ago. This isn't failure. This is transition. A natural shift, not a personal flaw. The problem is, no one prepared you for this version of your metabolism. You're still following advice written for younger bodies, younger systems, ones that can handle a sugar spike without losing balance. But your body has changed, its needs have shifted, and what used to be a quick pick-me-up now feels like a drag on your energy, a strain on your clarity, a weight your system struggles to carry. Juice in particular hits differently because it enters quickly, and the older your system gets, the slower your response becomes. That delay means sugar lingers longer in your blood, and the longer it lingers, the more damage it quietly does. Hardening vessels, stressing nerves, inflaming tissues. These aren't immediate reactions, they're slow burns, the kind you don't see until something else begins to break. But here's the truth that's rarely spoken. Your body is still listening, still responding, still adjusting, even now. And while aging may change how you process sugar, it doesn't remove your ability to influence the outcome. It just means the window is narrower, the impact more visible, the guidance more crucial. You're not too late, you're not too far gone, you're just in a new season, one that asks for deeper awareness, smaller shifts, and a quieter kind of strength. The question always comes next. So what do I drink now? Because the habit of reaching for something cold, something flavorful, something that feels like care, that doesn't go away, and it shouldn't have to. Your body still deserves refreshment, still craves taste, but now it needs that taste delivered in a way that supports stability, not spikes. Comfort that comes without consequence. Start with infused water, something as simple as slices of cucumber and mint or lemon and ginger steeped overnight. It doesn't just hydrate, it offers gentle flavor, cooling to the system, easy on the blood sugar. Herbal teas are another quiet ally. Peppermint, hibiscus, rooibos. Served warm or chilled, they bring subtle benefits without the metabolic baggage. And for those times when you want a little more depth, a little more oomph, you can build your own blends. Smoothies made at home, thick with fiber, anchored in greens, paired with a protein like unsweetened Greek yogurt or a scoop of nut butter. Add chia seeds, flax, even half an avocado. These ingredients don't just fill you up, they slow the sugar, flatten the curve, and help you feel grounded instead of foggy. Even a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in water, sipped before meals, can steady post-meal glucose. Or bone broth, warm and savory, when you need something satisfying but don't want to spike. These aren't punishments. They're upgrades. They're quiet tools your body has been waiting for. Ways to feel nourished without that crash, that craving, that confusion afterward. You don't have to settle for bland. You don't have to give up joy. You just have to choose options that work with you now, not against you. The pleasure can stay. The danger doesn't have to. There is still a way to drink with ease and feel better after, not worse. It doesn't have to be all at once. In fact, it shouldn't be. Real change doesn't scream, it whispers. It starts with one quiet decision, one swap, one shift. Because the truth is, your body doesn't need a full overhaul. It needs relief. It needs consistency. It needs you to stop the daily flood so it can catch its breath. And that begins the moment you decide to remove one habit that's been quietly stealing your balance and replace it with one that restores it. Maybe it's the orange juice at breakfast. Maybe it's the bottled smoothie mid-morning. Maybe it's that evening glass of cranberry cocktail you poured without thinking. Choose one. Just one. You don't have to declare war on your whole routine. You just have to pull one thread. And once you do, you'll start to notice how quickly your body responds. How that mid-morning crash isn't quite as heavy. How your appetite settles earlier in the day. How your numbers start to creep in the right direction without a fight. That's not coincidence. That's your system recalibrating. That's inflammation cooling. That's insulin working less frantically. And you don't need perfection to see those shifts. You just need consistency with one better choice. One infusion instead of juice. One whole fruit instead of a blend. 1 week of trying something different, not to punish yourself, but to meet your body where it is now, not where it used to be. This is the part where you realize you're not powerless. You're not stuck. You're not at the mercy of age or luck or metabolism. You're just one gentle choice away from stability. And once you feel that steadiness, the kind that doesn't crash, doesn't spike, doesn't scream for sugar, you'll want to keep going. Because now your body feels heard, and that feeling is worth protecting. Even after all the years, even after the habits formed quietly and stayed longer than they should have, even after the numbers rose and the energy faded and the routines carved themselves into muscle memory, your body is still listening. That's the part we forget, the part we're rarely told, that no matter how long it's been, no matter how many mornings started with juice, or how many afternoons ended in a crash, the body has never stopped responding. It's been adapting, compensating, whispering through symptoms, waiting for you to notice that it wants to work with you, not against you. It doesn't hold grudges. It doesn't resent the years. It doesn't punish you for what you didn't know. It just asks, quietly, for a new kind of partnership. One rooted in presence, one shaped by care, not control. Because the truth is, your biology still responds faster than your beliefs do. You make a change today, remove the juice, add the fiber, slow the sugar, and by tomorrow, there's already a shift. Your energy doesn't dip as hard. Your mind feels a little clearer. Your cravings soften around the edges. These are not small things, they're signals. Proof that healing doesn't need to be dramatic, it just needs to be consistent. You are not too old to reset, you are not too late to learn. The habits that led you here don't define where you go next. They were based on trust, on labels, on advice that served a different body in a different season. But this season is yours now, and it asks for something simpler. Less sweetness, more steadiness, less marketing, more listening, less autopilot, more awareness of how you feel after, not just how something tastes during. And in that awareness, change becomes gentle. It becomes sustainable. It becomes healing, not because you followed a rule, but because you followed your body's signals. The same body that once held you through youth now asks for your attention, your kindness, your willingness to do just one thing differently. And when you do, it doesn't resist. It exhales, it adjusts, it responds, because your body never stopped listening. It's just been waiting for you to do the same.